Hey guys, it's Hannah and welcome back to the Dyslexic Reader. Today I'm going to be telling you about the books that I read in the month of May in the year 2020, and it seems so bizarre that May is already over, but here we are. I didn't have a great reading month. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 books. I suppose that's still pretty good, but as last month, April was crazy. I read so many books that it was probably verging on unhealthy. So a bit more of a normal reading month. I had a very busy end of the month, so a lot of this happened in the first half of the month, but that's just the way things go. The first 3 books I want to talk about are these 3 books, which were if you watched my May TBR, I did like a random number generator, picks my TBR to try and get to some books on my shelf that sun glare is right in my face, that I wouldn't like have picked up. Like I wanted to read them and I wanted to keep them, but they just never reached the next book, if you know what I mean. So these were the 3 that picked, and I did read all 3. I started with Running with the Reservoir Pups by Colin Bateman. This is a book by a local author and it's set locally. It got a really low 3 stars, like it just about scraped a 3. I didn't really like this. I thought the story was stupid. The characters were unrealistic. The pacing was a bit weird. Like, one thing that really got me, so this is written in, I believe, early 2000s. 2003. And the parents are recently divorced, so he lives with his single mum who is a nurse. They live in flats in the city that are provided for the nurses because nurses do not get a high enough wage. And he has a spare laptop. No child in 2003 in Belfast had a spare laptop. They didn't even have a laptop in 2003. We didn't even have a computer in the house at all. So how did he have a spare laptop? And there was just like loads of things that were just so unrealistic. And I know that they tried to take the paramilitary aspect out of it because it's a children's book, but it was just so like conflicting. And like they made the paramilitaries, oh, they're just like a fun gang of kids. No. So this was not very high on my list, and when I ran it through my rating system, I'm surprised that it even got 3 stars, but it did scrape 3 stars. The next one was The Book of Tomorrow by Cecilia Ahern. This is not what I thought it was going to be at all. I absolutely loved this. I raced through it in like less than 2 days. I read like 50 pages one night and then the whole next day finished it, and it's like almost 500 pages long. I really enjoyed this, and it's not something that I ever thought was up my alley. I did not expect our main character to be a teenager, and I didn't expect it to have a mystery twist. There's like a real mystery to this book, like a suspense kind of mystery, and I did not expect, there was slight romance in it, but it was not romance centered, which I thought it was going to be for some reason. So this is about a young girl whose father dies. This is all in the first chapter, so I'm not spoiling anything. And they kind of lose all their money and they have to move to stay with relatives in the Irish countryside. Her and her mum are they're used to like high society Dublin, and now they're just living in a shack with farmers. But there's something mysterious going on about the family path that they have to work out. The only thing was, there was a bit of a weird relationship in this where she is 16 and the guy's like 22 or something. I think I would spoil it to go in and see, like, tell you how it progresses, and it turned out not, they didn't end up together in the end. It turned out nothing awful really happened. But it was kind of worded weirdly, but then it is from the mind of a 16-year-old, and 16-year-olds do view like relationships, you know, they maybe wouldn't see the issue with dating a guy that was that old. I think it's important that we acknowledge that like a 16-year-old be like, oh, a 20-year-old guy likes me, and acknowledge that they do feel that way, but also try to educate as well as how to like be aware and how power dynamics don't line up and things like that. So that was the only reason I gave this book 4 star. It was a really high 4 star. It just missed out on a 5, and I think it was because I marked down because of that dodgy relationship. I think it could have been handled better. But the mystery aspect was really good. 10 out of 10 for enjoyment. As I say, I raced through it one day. It was real easy read, and yeah, I would recommend. It was really fun. And then the next one, which I didn't read straight after, those were my first 2 books of the month, and I took a break. But because this was my TBR, I'll show you this one next, which is The Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. And this is just mediocre to me. I didn't really enjoy it. I wasn't really overly intrigued, and I won't be continuing on with the series. It's just a fantasy about a kid who's a wizard, and he goes to wizarding school, but he makes a big mistake, and then he has to try and like right his wrong. I understand that it is, let's see, when was it published? Is it early? Yeah, 68. So like for the time, it probably was like a bit of a standout, but I feel like there was nothing in it that I hadn't really read before, and the writing was just, it is middle grade, so it's quite like simple writing, but there was just nothing that stood out about it, and I just kind of, when I got to about halfway, 2/3, I was just kind of ready to finish it. So just like a mediocre 3-star for that one. The next book was an absolute doozy. I finally got round to the book Thief by Markus Zusak. I'm sure the majority of you know what this is because this was a really popular book, and if you've been here for a while, you'll know that generally I do not like books set in World War II. I don't know what it is. When we learned about it in school, just that period of time does not fascinate me really in any way from any real angle or perspective. It's just not a period of history that interests me. So I knew this was popular. I thought it sounded good. It was so highly recommended, and so when I saw it cheap years ago in a charity shop, I just picked it up because I thought, you know what, maybe someday I will get to that, and it's so like renowned. Man, I'm glad I got this. This was a 5 star. It was so good. It is narrated by Death, that is not a secret, and it follows our main character through her life in wartime Germany, and it's just so beautifully written. The story is great, the pacing is great, the characters are great, but the writing style in this is so poetic without being flowery. There's just really nothing that I could compare it to, and this is going to be an absolute lifelong favourite, and it's going to be a keeper that I'm going to reread again and again and again, I think. So this was an absolute win for me, and I'm so excited I finally got to it. And I am building a couple of World War II books that I actually like. I read The Silver Sword last month and enjoyed it, although I wouldn't read it again, but this is like a firm favourite like of all time. So this was absolutely brilliant. So if you have had The Book Thief on your TBR but just have not get round to it, please strive to do so because it's really worth it. Then the next 2 were both 5 stars for me as well, but they were rereads. So I took a notion to reread Animal Farm and 1984 by my brain has just gone blank, George Orwell. And yeah, these are both firm favourites of mine. Read them many times and really enjoyed them. I had not read 1984 for quite a few years, and I didn't remember it off the top of my head, but once I started reading it to me, it all came back. Yeah, and I just thought kind of the situation that we're in globally at the minute, there was some real truth in these, and after all these years, the truth still reign like so hard. Obviously 1984, there's a lot of like scientific advancements and stuff that haven't happened, but generally still socially these really stand up, and I think Orwell's writing is great and important, and it never does any harm to go back and visit these and have a little think about things. Then I read I guess you would call it a horror, a classic horror, and that is The Rats by James Herbert. I love anything to do with rodents in literature. Rodents underground, whether they be like animalistic. I'm sorry, you can probably hear the road noises, but I have to keep my window open because it is hot today. Or like anthropomorphic. friendly fishes, anything to do with rodents, I'm so into in a book. So when I saw someone on Instagram, and I can't remember who it is, posted this recently and said they enjoyed it and it was a fun read, I was like, I have never heard of that, and it seems quite well known. So I'm going to buy it online secondhand cheap if I can get it. And I did, and I really enjoyed it. It was written in the 70s, I believe, 74, and it was just fun and easy, and there was a bit of intrigue to it, and it's about London, and there's all of a sudden these plague of rats, but they're not normal rats, they're massive rats, and they're killing people. And it was 3-star, but it was a high 3-star. Like, the enjoyment was there, but there was just really nothing to flesh it out. It wasn't a particularly long book either, but it was enjoyment, and it was fun, and it was fast paced, and it was something a little bit different. So the enjoyment was really there, and I really liked it. It just wasn't a masterpiece. And then finally, to finish off the month, I just finished this last night, like just as May was finishing off, and that was a reread of Howl's Moving Castle by Diane Wynne Jones. I have read Howl's Moving Castle before, but I have not read the second or third in the series. They're not the same storyline, they're just set in the same universe, and I wanted to read the second and third ones, so I got them on the Kindle. So I reread Howl's Moving Castle, and I'm going to start into Castle in the Air today, which is the second one in the series. So yeah, this is a really great fantasy book. If you enjoy the movie, the Studio Ghibli movie, then I would recommend reading this as well, because it has very similar vibes. The character profiles and all are there, but it is also like a different story, because there's kind of only really half the book is in the movie, and there's some new things added just to fill it out to make it a full story, but there's a whole like side of the book which isn't in it, and it fits in so well, and I actually feel it explains a lot of things in the movie when I had watched the movie but not read the book, and I was like, that doesn't really make sense why this is happening. But when you read the book and you see the other side of the story, then it kind of like filtered in. So yeah, it's a fantasy about a wizard named Howl who supposedly eats the hearts of young girls, and our main character Sophie, who is a young girl, but she has a curse put upon her to make her look like an old woman, and she goes to Howl looking help. And yeah, just I feel in the book the characters are so well fleshed out and like really realistic and stuff, so I just really enjoyed it. I think I got a 4-star, but it was like a really high 4-star. It was basically scraping a 5, and I think because I love it so much and it has that reread value for me, I probably would class it as a 5-star myself, but just when I put it through my rating scale, it ended up as a really high 4-star. But really enjoy it, and as I say, a book that you come back to again and again, always has value to it. So would highly recommend if you're interested in middle grade fantasy, or if you have watched the movie and want a little bit of background. So that was it. 8 books doesn't really sound like that much, considering I read like 18 last month, but that was not normal. But when you stack it up, it's quite a lot of pages, so I'm happy enough with it. June is very busy for me, so I'm not sure how much I'll get read, but I'll keep you guys updated, and hopefully this month I'll have more time to actually make like videos through the month, because I don't think I've made a video since my TBR. I tried making a vlog the first week, and I was going to do weekly vlogs for this month because the weather was going to be so nice. I thought I was going to get loads of reading done. I thought we were going to get some lockdown updates and stuff, and I thought that would be nice to document. I made the first week. For some reason my computer completely crashed. I tried uploading it for like 5 days. It kept crashing my computer. I don't know what was going on. It really scundered me over the whole thing, so it never got done, and then it put me off videos for a couple of weeks because of the stress of it, and then I was really busy. So but hopefully this month I will have more time for videos. So that is us. I hope you're all happy. I hope you're all healthy and staying safe, and if you can get out in the nice weather, enjoy so. But please try to remember to be courteous of people's distances and stuff, because I've seen so many idiots out there that are just really being ignorant of the whole thing. So stay safe, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video, which won't be too long. Goodbye.